The superstars of Fan Control Football Season 2.0 are not only the who's who of celebrity team owners and influencers, not the 21 million live views of our Emmy-nominated broadcast. Across Twitch, DAZN, Fubo, NBCLX, Peacock. Or our highlights that scored over 100 million views. And we can't forget best-in-class sponsors. But the biggest star of Season 2 is our play calling app that allow fans to control the action on the field. Fans pick a team, pick a play, 4 run plays, 4 pass plays to choose from. The play with the most votes is called in real time.
We got it.
This is where video games and live action come to life. And now, Fan Control Sports and Entertainment brings you Fan Controlled Hoops, where fans call the shots. Coming 2023, the future of sports is here, and it's Fan Control. Power to the fans.
Are you ready for it?
This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show.
Don't cause a ruckus. We talking that talk, it's spitting them facts. We setting them traps and cracking them backs. Yeah. We got all the news, we know all the stories. Yeah. We start from the bottom, rise up to the glory. Yeah. We say what your local reporters can't say. Yeah. We break down the X's and O's on the play. It's AJ, King, Con, and Jose. Ruckus. We call it right on the first take and they love us. Yeah, we the best when it comes to sports debate. Find the podcast and let it play. If we get you in your feelings, that's okay. AJ and Jose send you on your way like, bruh, don't cause a ruckus. We just call it how we see it, big bro. Yeah. And that we will always.
What's up, Internet? Welcome to Don't Cause a Ruckus, the sports debate show that tries not to take itself too seriously. I am your host, Jose Ruckus, and joining me, as always, is my good friend and arch enemy, AJ Khah. What's up, AJ? How you doing today?
I'm all right, man. I just came back from a wedding. I'm gonna be weird. It was weird. I'm gonna be real.
The wedding
it
was weird.
Yeah, it was a weird situation, man. Okay. I'm gonna put a quick, long story into perspective for you and the listeners.
Okay.
Oldest friend. This is literally the guy I've known the longest out of anybody that I'm still in contact with. We always joked that we'd be a part of each other's, party. I wasn't picked this time. Cool. Okay. Not a big issue. A lot of speeches were made with he chose somebody that we grew up together. It was 3 of us. There's even a picture of us as the 3 amigos when we were 10 in Cancun with sombreros. Very cultural appropriating. It was not great. I'm gonna be real. He was picked to be a part of it. Cool, whatever. Terrible speech. He gave a horrible speech. Whatever. Fine. The thing that got me that was weird was, so I wait a while to say hello. It's his wedding, obviously. So there's ceremony, then you got to eat, and then everybody's saying hi to him afterwards. So I give him his time, and it's while everybody's dancing, and he sees me across the way. He comes at me like a brother from war. He hasn't seen me in a long time. Comes, gives me a hug. And he gets so emotional with his hug. His eyes start welling up. He acts as if he hasn't seen me in forever. And then his new wife pulls him away instantly. He's like, we gotta go. And of course it's congratulations, this, that, the other. While he's hugging me and embracing me, he's like, where have you been all day? And I'm like, dude, it's your wedding. You have hundreds of people paying attention to you. I'm one of 200. And then, his wife pulls him away. Don't see him the rest of the night. Haven't heard from him since. So I'm like, that was a weird
that is weird
interaction. So I'm still kind of reeling from that. Also, I'm going to say this too. My fiance has been toying with the idea of doing a polar plunge. She's going to visit her family up in New Hampshire and stuff.
Okay.
I don't think she's going to do it. I really don't.
It.
Yeah, there's no reason to. But if she does, I want her to videotape it. She said no. So I know that like my mother-in-law Gretchen and like I guess she's like my aunt-in-law now, Marsha. If you guys are listening, I know you guys sometimes do. If Laura Kate does jump into the frozen lake, please videotape it. I want to see this. I'll post it online for those who care, just because I think it'll be hilarious. Just would be. I need to see it in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I have family members who have done it. I don't get why people do that. It seems insane to me. It's just like, if you're gonna swim somewhere where you can do it comfortably. What's jumping into ice cold water? What's that for?
So that's what's been on my mind this weekend. It was a weird weekend, so I just want to get that out there. You always ask me what's going on. I feel like I gotta give you more than it's good.
Yeah, okay. No, I appreciate it. It's interesting. If you didn't know, Don't Cause a Ruckus is a sports debate show that goes live on twitch.tv/fancontrolsports every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch it live, just like Platinum Bear is in the chat. We're here, we're talking. Of course, the show goes up on podcast services and the YouTube the very next day, so you can check it out there. But we got a whole bunch of sports going on today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. AJ, World Baseball Classic just got wrapped up last night. Championship game last night, U.S. versus Japan, ends in one of the greatest at-bats in the history of baseball, in my opinion. Shohei Ohtani pitching to Mike Trout. U.S. down by 1, bottom of the 9th. And Shohei strikes out teammate Mike Trout. So not only does this, in my mind, solidify Shohei Ohtani is the best baseball player in the history of the sport. Ruckus. Maybe the best player at any sport ever, honestly.
That's
like is there anybody who is as good at their sport as Shohei is at his?
I mean, that's like a hard metric to like measure, but like, yeah, I mean, like you can easily consider like Floyd Mayweather, like dude's undefeated.
Well, okay, he lost in the Olympics. Okay, his professional career he's undefeated, but he does have an L on that streak. But also, like the thing about Shohei is that it's the combination of skills. Nobody is a dominant hitter and a dominant pitcher.
Yeah,
this is like if Lionel Messi was also a top 5 goalkeeper in the world. Like the dominance of this guy is insane. It's completely unprecedented.
100%. I think I feel like almost every sport has a arguable GOAT, if not 1, 2. And that kind of makes it fun to argue. Like with basketball, it's great to debate, LeBron, Kobe, MJ. Who's the greatest? There's people that argue MJ, people from the newer generations who never watched MJ say, LeBron. And then from our generation, a lot of time people argue Kobe being Bryant. But then you go to football,
terrible answer.
And then I'm gonna say it's MJ. We can argue this later. And then you got football. Now we got Tom Brady. You got like Peyton Manning, arguably. Yeah. You got
Tom Brady,
Steve Young.
Again, it's Tom Brady amazing, but this is like if Tom Brady was also, Darrelle Revis.
So what I'm saying is, I think this is one of those few situations where it's great. I think you're right. I think Ohtani is arguably the best, if not the GOAT of MLB. He's this generation's GOAT. The fact that he's here, he's doing what he's doing. I don't know for all sports though. That's the one thing I can't get behind. I can't say that, man. Like, there's a lot
it's obviously it's hard to compare. Jason Wright calls out Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods doesn't play a sport where he has to actually play like directly oppose somebody. He gets to play his own game, so that's incredibly different. But it's a good answer. DiCaprio doesn't like the conversation apparently. But let's just get
who would you put up as a comparison to Ohtani then? DiCaprio.
Who have you seen who dominates a sport the way that Shohei Ohtani does? Because frankly, I can't think of a single comparison to somebody who.
Jason Wright is saying Tiger Woods.
Yeah,
I mean, fair.
I'm not sure how you can line up golf because there's no defense in golf, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's hard to do the metrics and like measure them in comparison. Like, people have said that the hardest sport in every sport is arguably boxing, and like I can see that. So then you go for me. That's why I said Mayweather. But it's hard to compare the, sport between sports. I think for baseball, Ohtani hands down is the GOAT as of now. Yeah, you could argue Bo Jackson, you can argue Griffey Jr., but I think Ohtani kind of puts those other two to shame. Like Jose said, this is one of the few times we agree. It's not often we agree, but this is one of the few times. The man is dominant on defense and offense. Pitchers have been known. It is like a stereotype, an archetype that pitchers can't hit. There's literally a position for them in case they can't hit. And this man is doing the exact opposite of that. He's putting that to shame. I agree with you. I think, especially with last night and the way it ended, we've been talking about, like, in different episodes, is the World Baseball Classic getting to the level of the World Cup? I still don't think so, but this year it brought a lot of attention to the sport of baseball. And Ohtani showed why he's the ultimate GOAT, in my opinion. And I do agree with you. I don't think you can say that he is the greatest athlete over all the sports. I think that's a bold claim, man. Like,
I'm not saying he's the greatest athlete across all. I'm just saying I don't think I've ever seen anybody dominate a sport the way Shohei Ohtani is dominating baseball. I just can't think of a single comparison. I really enjoyed the World Baseball Cup. I thought it was super entertaining. The players loved it, had a great time. It made baseball fun again, which is something baseball hasn't been in quite a while. I will say there are some detractors, and I think we should just get into this now. Following several injuries in the World Baseball Classic, Edwin Diaz, the Mets all-star reliever, gets hurt celebrating a win on the mound. Jose Altuve gets hit with a ball, breaks a bone. He's going to be out for a huge chunk of the season. There are people who are extremely upset that the World Baseball Classic happens right before the baseball season. People are calling these games meaningless. AJ, do you think that this exciting event is worth the potential injury that these players suffer if, this event is considered less than, the MLB?
I mean, there's always that question when it comes to, like, sports outside of the leagues that they play in. You get this argument from time to time with the World Cup as well. Like, is it worth it? Eventually, it comes down to national pride, nation pride with the World Cup. Like, ultimately, it doesn't mean anything to win the Euro. It doesn't mean anything to win the World Cup, except the fact that your country has pride in the fact that for the next 4 years, you can brag about it. But, to say that it doesn't have any meaning, I think it kind of defeats the purpose of the game. Like, you're out there representing your country. That always is something that's meaningful to whatever player that you are, especially, like, whatever stage that you can to represent your country, put your flag on your chest and say, hey, I am the best at what I do at this sport, and I get to represent where I come from. There's a level of patriotism that you can't really recreate like that. And I think we need to keep that in mind. I think it's a great thing for the sport. I loved the World Baseball Classic. I think it brought energy to baseball, and that's something that we haven't said in a very long time. It's a breath of fresh air.
Okay. I got a hot take for you, AJ.
Okay.
People are complaining. They're saying that the World Baseball Classic, these games are meaningless. These players are going out there. They're getting injured in meaningless games. I think that the World Baseball Classic, the games that they're playing, are more meaningful than the MLB games. Because what people are saying is like, oh, well, the Mets, they're paying Edwin Diaz to be out there. They're the ones paying him these millions of dollars, guaranteed contracts to go out there, win a World Series. If it's about the money, if all you're saying is the games that matter are the ones where you get paid for, the ones that these big paychecks come to, then it's not really about the competition. The World Baseball Classic is about competition. It's about wanting to prove your country, you guys have the best baseball players in the world. And having, I don't know if you saw this story with, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. It's a Latin name, but he's a Cuban, but he played for Mexico in this year's World Baseball Classic because he defected from Cuba and went to Mexico and got to play in their minor league system and stuff. And he feels a lot of pride for how he was treated in Mexico and wants to play for Mexico. They actually care about playing for these teams. I'm not saying I don't think that, Edwin Diaz doesn't care if the Mets do really well and he wins a championship with the Mets, but doing it for Puerto Rico, he cares more about that. Shohei Ohtani said that winning this World Baseball Classic was the best moment in his life. I think that if you can't enjoy this, if you can't enjoy pure competition, that's all this is about, pure athletic competition, which is what sports is really all about. If you're not enjoying the World Baseball Classic, you don't deserve to enjoy baseball.
I think that's a fair statement, man. Like, I remember playing soccer in high school and almost getting all state. And I was like, man, if I can represent my state as a soccer player, that would be amazing. I could only imagine what it would be like to represent your entire nation. Yeah, no, 100% I agree. I think this is a more pure level of competition. Like you said, it's not about the money. It's about playing your best and showing you're the best. And at the end of the day, that's, as spectators, if you truly love the sport, like you said, if you truly love the sport, this is what you're looking for. But hey, man, baseball's not for everybody, you know?
I mean, absolutely. Randy Arozarena, by the way, is who the player I was referring to was from the Mexico team. But yeah, that's what it really comes down to, my opinion, is it's about competition. It's about competing. It's not about getting the best contract. It's not about, you should enjoy watching competitive athletics just for the sake of competition, not because you want the Mets to do really well. You should be happy for Edwin Diaz if you're a Mets fan.
Yeah.
Speaking of the money behind sports, AJ, friend of the show, legitimately friend of the show, Austin Eckler, used to watch, the post-game show we did last year.
Yeah, it's a little wild that he did.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But he is looking for a new contract. He says that he doesn't hate the Chargers or anything like that. He's asked to look for trade partners. But he feels a bit disrespected by how much he's getting paid by the Chargers, given how much offense they rely on him in their offensive output. AJ, does Austin Eckler have the right to feel disrespected by his current contract?
So, okay,
friend of the show, Austin Eckler.
I know. So it's hard for me to be like, yes, he's being disrespectful when you think about like how much money he makes, like in perspective to a normal human or like a nurse or a teacher. So normally I would be like, no, he's not criminally underpaid. In fact, he's overpaid because there are so many other people in the world that deserve to get paid just as much. Having said that, in the context of what we're talking about in the NFL, yes, Austin Eckler is arguably one of the best running backs in the entire NFL. He's also on one of the arguably worst teams in the NFL because they're not utilizing him to his strengths. He could be better used on many, many, many other teams, and it would be great. He was, in my opinion, the Chargers offense last season.
Yeah.
Whenever they needed something, he pretty much did it. He was carrying that team on his back single-handedly. And I think he is, I wouldn't say criminally underpaid, but I would say he's underpaid. Like, the man deserves to go. If he's not on a winning team, he deserves to be getting paid more. He deserves to be getting paid like the best running back in the league. And I think this is a good opportunity for him to find a different home. I'm hoping it's someplace that, has the potential of going to the Super Bowl, winning it all, if he's going to get paid equivalent to what he has been. If not, then the man needs to get paid if he's going to be playing in a similar situation. I really like, if he goes to the Raiders, get that money, man, get that bag. If you're going to the 49ers, or you're going to, I don't know, the Bills or the Chiefs or, the Bengals, then, hey, you may need to take it. You may need to take a little less, but
well, I mean,
at the end of the day,
you look at what this guy provides for a team, right? Like last year, about 1,000 yards, almost every year, 1,000 yards, about 15 to 20 touchdowns. Like, this dude he's up there with the Christian McCaffreys. He's up there with the Saquon Barkleys. Like, he's Maybe he's not as big. Maybe he's not, as show off with the muscles as Saquon is. Maybe he's not out there doing these things that, they're showing all over the sports center like Christian McCaffrey is, but the stats are there. He's that guy. And I think he deserves to be paid on the level of these guys. And I think he cares more about guaranteed money than anything else, which is fair enough for a position that gets, recycled and ran through so often. I mean, I think he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. And I think that the Chargers are disrespecting him because he's more important. He's as important to their offense, at least, as Justin Herbert is. I mean, you take this guy away, you leave them without Austin Eckler next year. I don't know what that team's going to look like. I don't think they're going to be particularly great because he's really what's carrying that team.
Yeah. I 100% agree, man. He, like I said,
Austin Eckler, come on the show.
Hey, yeah, if you want to explain to the people out there why you feel the way you feel, you have an open mic here, Austin.
Yeah.
Just stop on by whenever. We'll make a special edition for you. We'll call it the Austin Eckler Speaks Out edition, and you can whatever you want. We can talk about sports, comics. What's your favorite candy?
He's a video game guy. I know that. He's doing all kinds of stuff. He's a musician now too. You see that he started playing guitar?
I did not see that, but I can give him some lessons. Hey, call me. Shout out to Peanut in the chat. Happy birthday, buddy.
It's his birthday tomorrow. That's really cool, man. Good. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for coming by. And I have no tribal chief, so there's that.
You're not going to acknowledge him?
No. If I can see this is my issue. If I can predict what's gonna happen, I don't need to acknowledge anybody. Acknowledge me as a great, sports writer, wrestling writer,
All right, this next topic we got here, AJ, I'm really excited to talk about. Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time, probably.
The GOAT, yes, the GOAT.
The GOAT.
Yeah. The proper GOAT, yes.
Well, he's selling his team, the Charlotte Hornets. Good. After a disaster of ownership that he's since the Bobcats, this reign of Michael Jordan as an owner, it's been really, really bad. AJ, should Jordan's time as an owner I'm just gonna say he's a failure as an owner. We're talking his entire tenure here, which is like 2 decades long, 3 playoff appearances, didn't win a single series. Should this hurt his legacy as the GOAT?
I have so many jokes right now in my head, just swimming through my head right now. No, it really shouldn't mess with his legacy, because if it does, then I need to be in the Hall of Fame for owners, like for the FCF. Like, it brought both teams of mine to the finals both times. Let's go. It's better than Michael Jordan's doing on his teams, right?
It is. This is a great point, AJ, because Fan Controlled Hoops is coming up, right?
Yeah.
You have a chance right now. If you're watching the show, you have a chance. You can prove that you're better than the GOAT. Michael Jordan, failure as an owner, didn't get anything done, never won a playoff series. Prove that you're a better owner than Michael Jordan. Come watch Fan Controlled Hoops.
I think this is a great case study for the FCF right now, or FCSE is the proper word. Great case study opportunity they have in front of them. See, they have me, who's led 2 teams to 2 playoff appearances, and then they have Michael Jordan, NBA legend, GOAT, horrible owner. Bring him on as an owner of one team. Put me on as an owner of the same team, and see if we can even it out. Or even better, put us on opposite teams, see who overall gets the better record. Then we'll see who's a better businessman. I think Vegas odds are against me, but a smart man would bet on me. Just saying.
Well, AJ, there's another owner here who's actually won a championship as an owner. So
hey, you won one. I give it to you. That was a good win. You pulled it out in the end, but your follow-up season not the best.
Got close.
Close, but no cigar. All right. There's always next year. You can try again.
You can't win them all, AJ, but you're trying to lose them all.
Hey, I have more playoff and finals appearances as an owner than Michael Jordan does, and I will take that to the bank.
Yeah, no, fair enough. You can't hate on that. But this, I do personally think that if this won't reflect badly on Michael Jordan. It won't.
No.
His time as an owner. But I think it kind of should. Because if you think about it, him as an owner should mean something. This is the best basketball player of all time. Why doesn't that translate in his ability to scout talent? Why do they never sign free agents? Shouldn't players want to come play for Michael Jordan? Why did this go so badly?
Honestly, I think it went badly because he didn't have Scottie Pippen along the way to help him out.
He needs Scottie Pippen as the general manager.
Yeah, because come on, like, I saw this the other day, and it kind of made sense to me. Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen was not great. All his like final failures were before Scottie. After Scottie, that's when he did well. And then when he was on the Wizards, no Scottie, doesn't do well.
Okay, well, I mean, there's some other factors there.
Yeah, 100%. You got Phil Jackson, who's one of the best coaches of all NBA history, alongside of you. But you got. I think there needs to be more of an argument on, instead of GOATs, dynamic duos, because you got to think about it. Even LeBron always had a good backup. He had D Wade in Miami, he had Kyrie in Cleveland. Like, same thing with Golden State. There was always the Splash Bros. It's not a one-man team. I think we need to start looking at the NBA from a different lens and different perspective, instead of it just being, it's these superstars leading the team. I think it's these dynamic duos that are leading the teams.
I think for the most, I mean, there's obviously the exceptions there. Your Hakeem Olajuwons, your
but
Dirk
are those
Nowitzki's.
dynasties though? Those are usually one and dones.
Rockets went back to back with Hakeem,
fair.
I mean, it was in the 2 years where Michael Jordan was retired. So, little asterisk there. No, it's hard. Basketball's you can't win by yourself in basketball. It's true. A lot of people hold it against players like LeBron James, for instance. It's hard to win by yourself. It's a team sport. Absolutely. But you have to be able to build a team, and Michael Jordan was never able to build a team as an owner. And it's strange that, because Michael Jordan publicly railed against the Bulls ownerships, railed against the Bulls general manager, that they didn't know how to build a team, that they were doing all this stuff, they were ruining his team, all this, and then he gets a team and he's not even close to as successful, not even in the same galaxy as the Chicago Bulls. I think it goes to show, like, these are different skill sets.
Yeah,
players,
100%.
Ownership, management. And you know what? If you've got the skill sets, fan-controlled hoops, it's coming up.
But see, that's the point that I like you got to make, though, to get back to your question at the beginning. Should it affect his legacy as far as like being the GOAT? And like you just said, there's different skill sets. So in my opinion, I don't think this should affect the GOAT conversation at all. The man was different. I think he's still one of the I think he's the best NBA player.
So here's the deal. LeBron James is going to own a team when he's done, right? When he retires, he's going to own a basketball team.
What team?
Guaranteed.
He's going to own
I think
Cavs?
that there's gonna be expansion team. He might own a team in Vegas. He might, he'll probably go on to one of these teams. Maybe he'll end up getting in with, a previous team like the Cavs, or maybe Miami. Miami offered, Dwayne Wade potential ownership. I don't know if that bridge is burnt there. But if LeBron wins one as an owner,
no, doesn't change the debate, man.
I think it does. I think it changes the debate quite a bit.
You think? Are you going to cite the argument? You really think that LeBron's the GOAT over MJ?
I think LeBron is a better basketball player. I think greatest extends beyond just play on the basketball court. I think it goes into a lot of things. I think, the fact that I can picture 90% of Jordan's, shoe catalog in my head, that he's got the logo, that he's got Space Jam, he's got all this stuff. I think that that's what makes Michael Jordan greater than LeBron James.
Well, LeBron James has Space Jam too.
Yeah, but his Space Jam's really bad. Michael's was good. the way Michael embodies basketball, I think he's the greatest basketball player of all time. But one-on-one, LeBron's going to destroy him. LeBron's taller than him. He's stronger than him. He's a better shot maker than him. He's a better passer. I mean, he's not. I think defense is really the only area that Mike really had on him as far as.
See, I disagree, man. I think LeBron is a better driver to the paint. I think Michael's a better shooter. He's more clutch.
Look at their 3-point numbers and tell me that Michael Jordan is a better shooter than LeBron James.
It's a different game, though. You have to think of it from the mentality standpoint. In the 90s and in late 80s, the game was in the paint. It was in the mid lane. Yeah. You got to look at his mid-range shot compared to LeBron, who doesn't even have a mid-range shot. Excuse me.
Because mid-range shots are bad. It's the worst thing that you can have as a skill.
Now,
yes, period. It always has been. Driving to the paint has always been better. Shooting from three, as long as there's been a 3-point arc, it's always been better.
Now. But the game is
played differently, and
so I mean, the emphasis isn't on 3-point. The emphasis now is on 3-point shot. Well, back in the day, it was getting into the paint, getting the easy shot, making sure you get that dunk in. So, had there been an emphasis on 3-point as heavily as there is now, I think Michael Jordan would have had a better shot, man. Genuinely.
No, that's just it's just not true.
Agree to disagree. All right. You're like, no, I'm not gonna do
that. No, I just no.
no.
All right, let's keep talking basketball because March Madness, obviously, it's going on right now, and I gotta tell you, AJ, I don't really care about this men's tournament at all.
No, I don't either. To a point where I really messed up yesterday. I did research and it was best upsets. And I did best upsets 2023. They just gave me best upsets of all time. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I look like a dumbass.
Yeah, I haven't really found this men's tournament to be particularly interesting. Other than the first week where we saw a couple huge upsets, there just hasn't been that much to grab my attention. Now, the women's tournament, on the other hand, I think has been amazing. It's really good basketball.
Been enjoying it.
Caitlin Clark's been, doing what I thought she would do, which is absolutely tear up this tournament. She's playing extremely well. I don't know if you saw Destiny Harden for Miami pull up a huge upset last night. Gave one of the best quotes I've heard since Geno Smith's I Didn't Write Back, though. Did you see this clip?
No.
She's given a post-game. She's on ESPN talking in this post-game. She makes this huge clutch shot at the end of this game to, put the nail in the coffin.
Right.
And she says that her coach told her to face up and win the effing game. And she didn't say effing. And it was stone cold. It was super cool. Dropped it on live TV. It's the best. And that's going to be in my lexicon forever now. I'm going to tell people, face up, win the effing game.
That's great. No, I kind of agree. The women's tournament's been more fun. It's been more drama filled, honestly. Did you see the Louisville, Texas game? Did you see how that ended?
No, I did not.
So it was a close game, but my favorite part what came after the match where there was an altercation between the two women when they were going to say yo, good game. And it was I think it was a Texas player getting mad at Louisville because they got the upset. And at one point, she was just holding up the line, talking trash into some girl's ear. She's like, all right. And then just high fives her and leaves. And I'm like, no, that's what I'm talking about. I love it. It's great to see the women's tournament getting attention. I love to see chippiness from either side. And it's great when there's emotion, passion on the line, when people are getting into it and it's going out after the game. I love it. I love to see it. Keep that up. Keep that energy.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. It's been fun. This is the most upsets that a women's tournament has had in 2 decades. It's been really, really great. So I'm going to keep watching that. Obviously, we're entering the Sweet 16, which means, World Baseball Classic's over now. Going to be watching a lot more college basketball. So we'll be talking more about this as we keep going on. We'll talk about it next week. Last of the news topics that we have. Andy Kaufman, legendary comedian, is finally being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. People have been asking for this for a very, very long time. I really genuinely never thought this would happen. I didn't think that the WWE would ever let this happen. AJ, it seems like you got some opinions. What do you think?
No, I want to hear your opinions first. You think you're excited about this, clearly.
Yes. This is
Okay,
I
tell
genuinely
me why.
I think this is one of the greatest wrestling angles in the history of professional wrestling. This Andy Kaufman versus Jerry Lawler. If people don't know the history of this, Andy Kaufman, comedian, he was on SNL, he was on Taxi, really famous comedian, super weird dude. He decided he wanted to, he's a huge wrestling fan. He wanted to get into the world of professional wrestling, and he did it by wrestling women. He became the
wrestling women.
He became the intergender women's wrestling world champion. It was, he did this in like Mid-South wrestling at the peak of Jerry Lawler's the king of wrestling, like his peak. You probably know Jerry Lawler from being on the Raw commentary for so long, but there was a time that he was one of like the 3 most popular wrestlers in the country. Jerry Lawler got really upset with Andy Kaufman, gave him a pile driver, which I know that's very tame these days, just a pile driver, but this is back, the pile driver was banned, all this stuff. People had allegedly died from the pile driver. And then they go on Johnny Carson. Andy Kaufman's got a neck brace on, like he's been to the hospital for all this time. He starts talking shit to Jerry Lawler. And Jerry Lawler slaps him out of his chair on live TV. It's one of the greatest wrestling angles of all time, because this is back when people didn't know that this wasn't real. And really, it felt like a lot of people didn't know until Jerry Lawler very recently was talking about how much he and Andy Kaufman were friends and how much they really, really enjoyed working together, because Andy Kaufman obviously, died quite young. But it's one of the things that this is the epitome of what I think wrestling can be really, really great at, or at least used to be, because it felt real. And Andy Kaufman, as a celebrity, incredibly committed to the sport in a way that not a lot of guys are. I mean, look, Logan Paul, he looks great in the ring, but he's not good at the other half of it, in my opinion. Andy Kaufman was perfect at it. He really, really cared. He dedicated himself to being the bad guy wrestler, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. It's awesome.
See, this is where we disagree. And it's not because it's Andy Kaufman. It's more because he follows a long line of people being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame that don't deserve to be, including former President Trump and a long line of other celebrities that just came in as bits and angles and don't truly represent the sport of wrestling or sport entertainment of wrestling. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, wrestling's not really a sport, it's entertainment. Yeah, true. But to me, the people that deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame or like Wrestling Hall of Fame are the people that put their bodies on the line, the people that have died, the people that actually go out there night in, night out and really potentially like put themselves on the line of getting really hurt. And I appreciate what Andy Kaufman did at the time to bring wrestling to the forefront of media and bring attention to it. I think it's great. He deserves an honor, maybe a Vanguard Award or something. Sure. But to be inducted alongside other wrestlers, I think it's a slap in the face of wrestlers. I feel like that with a lot of people that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Like I said, including former president.
I can say that there are other guys who I probably agree with. William Shatner, I believe, is in the WWE Hall of Fame. That probably
doesn't deserve it.
But I mean, no, Andy Kaufman was out there taking bumps, man. Jerry Lawler gave the dude a pile driver. Okay,
a pile driver is not a real bump, man. Let me tell you something. That's not a real bump. I've taken a pile driver.
Tell that to Steve Austin.
Come on, Steve Austin. I love Stone Cold, but man did not want to take bumps.
Because Owen Hart broke his neck with a pile driver.
Owen Hart should not. Okay, if you know how to do the move correctly, it shouldn't hurt anybody. I'm just saying.
No wrestling move should hurt anybody, but they're all dangerous.
Just saying, one bump does not equate Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
It's not. I mean, look. Wrestling has always dabbled in celebrity. It's what the sport is. It requires occasionally the greatest wrestling matches of all time. Genuinely, the ones that people remember, the ones that belong in the Hall of Fame, all have celebrity involvement. to an extent. WrestleMania doesn't exist without Mr. T.
That's
it doesn't.
true.
It doesn't exist without Richard Belzer. Wrestling probably dies without celebrity endorsements in the early days. The Rock and Wrestling Connection with Cyndi Lauper. Celebrities have always been deeply rooted in wrestling as it went
Do you think
national.
Cyndi Lauper deserves to be in the Hall of Fame though?
Yeah.
Yeah? Really?
The war to settle the score and the brawl to end it all they're literally like the highest rated wrestling programs of all time. Not even close.
I mean, I don't know. I just think I think there needs to be a separate category for people who have helped the wrestling, like, the sport of wrestling continue and grow. Sure. Give them their own category, but don't honor them alongside of it. Like, you can, but give them a different award, man. Like, do something different. Like, I don't know. It just feels wrong. Like, it feels like you got to do it beforehand or like, during the red carpet speech. I don't know. It just feels wrong.
Do you think owners or general managers deserve to be in sports Hall of Fames?
No, I don't. Like, general managers, sure. General managers are one thing. Owners, no, I don't. Because, like, man, you're really not doing much.
It's not
you're just
the
getting
baseball,
the people together.
It's not the Wrestler Hall of Fame. It's the WWE Hall of Fame.
I know, but it's just like it is the thing is that WWE represents like wrestling as a whole. They are the equivalent to the NFL is like the highest echelon for football. The WWE arguably is the highest echelon for wrestling. And I hate that. I really do. Like, I wish it was, we could say that, AEW is alongside of that, but it's not. It hasn't been here as long as WWE. WWE has been here for like multiple decades. And it's something that we have to understand and realize. But at the same time, they also need to hold themselves to a higher standard. They cannot be just throwing these awards out willy-nilly. And they should be honoring people that move wrestling and the sport of wrestling as a whole forward, not just WWE, even though it's going to be always just WWE. Let's be honest here. Let's be real. But like, it shouldn't be,
I look, I'm not saying everybody who's ever been involved in a WWE show needs to be in the Hall of Fame, but I am saying, and actually this is because Andy Kaufman never wrestled in the WWE. He didn't wrestle in the WWF either. He wrestled in Mid-South Wrestling.
Exactly.
This was back in the day, okay? So this is
honoring. Did Mid-South even get owned? They
all did.
Like,
they all
just got wrapped up. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
because that's how
Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
That's how Jerry Lawler ended up there. But this is honoring a very significant time from wrestling's past. And I'll just say it right now. You go ask Jim Cornette. You go ask Jerry Lawler. You ask any of these old guys. Does Andy Kaufman deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame? They're all going to tell you yes.
Yeah.
Right up there with the Rock and Roll Express. Right up there with Chavo Guerrero Sr. He's as important to the sport as any of them were.
That's a bold claim, sir, and I disagree wholeheartedly. I really do. I'm sorry. I don't
know what to tell you. I'm stating facts here. These are not opinions.
No, you can state them as facts, they're opinions. Come on.
How often was a wrestler getting on Johnny Carson back in the day? This angle is the reason that Jerry Lawler became the lead announcer on Monday Night Raw in the WWE for decades because of the fame that he got from this angle. It's one of the most important things in American wrestling. Indisputable.
I mean, I'm disputing it. So
okay, we're going to off the top 3. This is the game we play every single week. AJ and I are going to make top 3 lists off the top of our head. I've got a topic for AJ. AJ's got a topic for me. Neither of us know what the topics are. AJ, you want to go first? Or you want me to give you yours?
You give me mine.
AJ. Top 3 celebrities who deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame.
God, you just wanted me to like say this just because you knew it was gonna upset me.
Give me 3.
Dennis Rodman.
Okay.
Number one for me, Dennis Rodman, just because of Rodzilla and the NWO.
Yep. No, those were great angles.
Falls under everything. So David Arquette.
He killed WCW.
David Arquette deserves it. You know why? Because he was the WCW heavyweight champion. All right.
He destroyed the company.
He 100% did. But have you seen his documentary?
I didn't watch it. I saw the trailers when it was coming out. It did look interesting.
It's on Hulu. If you have Hulu and you have like some time, I recommend it, honestly, because bro, there's a scene in there that is heartbreaking. Like Scott Bakula. I don't know if you know who that is, right?
Yeah.
He's like good friends with David Arquette. And there's the whole documentary basically is like David Arquette's like really upset because of exactly what you said. Fans yell at him for killing WCW and like ending WCW. So he's like, I got to make it up. I'm going to do it the right way. I'm going to go through like indie wrestling and like earn my stripes as a wrestler. And he does it. Like he does hardcore matches. There's like, I'm not going to give away everything, but there's one hardcore match where he gets really messed up. And Scott Bakula is there because he's like his really good friend, and he rushes him to the hospital. And like this is like right before he dies. Like it is one of the last times I think it's the last time he's ever filmed like on a camera. And man, it is really, really, it's like sad because he's like worried. He's also like thinks that he's gonna like David Arquette's gonna die. Yeah, it's messy. It's interesting. Snoop Dogg, last one. Snoop Dogg. Why? Because he's done a couple wrestling things. He introduced him and Shaquille O'Neal introduced what's her name? Jade. That's in the AEW right now, who's like 53-0.
Jade Cargill?
Jade Cargill, yeah. So
and he's isn't he Sasha Banks' cousin?
Yeah, he's Sasha Banks' cousin too. So like Snoop Dogg was also Cameron Diaz's drug dealer, weed dealer when they were in high school. So like Snoop Dogg is officially at the point in his life where he's doing side quests, man. Like he's done with the main quests. He's done it all. He's on side quests. He's hanging out with Martha Stewart. He's doing, you see him on like ice truckers or like, deep sea fishing. Dude is on side quests, man. He finished the game a long time ago.
Good for him. He deserves it.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. What do you got for me?
Okay. Have you been watching Daisy Jones and the Six?
No, I haven't. My grandmother did. I'm aware of the book. Okay. But I have not watched it.
So for those of you who haven't watched it, it's like a TV show on Amazon Prime right now. It's loosely based off of Fleetwood Mac. And I love it. I think it's a good show, especially from somebody who's a musician. I talked about this yesterday on the Info Arcade, but for me as a musician, like there's just so much realness into it. And I really love it. I'll be real with you guys. I've written a screenplay based off of my time as a musician, and it makes me actually feel like people would like it. I just wrote it to like deal with some stuff emotionally, but this show made me realize people would really like it. So my question would be, 3 bands that you'd want to see a documentary, movie, TV show that's loosely based off of them.
Okay. Let me get Nirvana.
Oh, that'd be a great one.
Yeah. Black Flag. I don't know if you're familiar with the history of Black Flag, but it's super interesting. And then you know what? Fugazi. Give me the story of, Minor Threat getting together, starting the straight edge scene, breaking up, then they go create emo, and then they make Fugazi, which is legitimately I think one of the most interesting bands of all time, just like super dedicated to their beliefs. They have a hard set rules that they will never break.
Dude, they're a little nuts.
Yeah, they're really weird dudes, but they're really interesting. I think it'd make a great movie.
Funny story. We had these like, I went to a weird high school, but they were very much like, you want to learn something, feel free to learn it, but we're gonna like make you write a ton of papers on it. So one of like my final papers of like junior year or senior year in high school, I ended up writing about the straight edge movement. And
okay.
That is one of the weirdest, most interesting stories and histories of the like any music scene I think that I've ever studied. But yeah, 100%. Fugazi is like one of the most passionate, crazy bands that I've ever had the pleasure of like studying.
Yeah, so. they're super, and especially like that the music scene at that time, like all these bands like The Replacements and Husker Du, like just showing up and getting like trashed before their shows, and then like
and they're like
minor threats there, and they're just like, we don't drink, we don't do drugs, we just play really loud and really fast.
Yeah, it was a crazy thing to do at the time, but you kind of have to respect them for like sticking to that gun.
It's one of the things about like punk that can be really interesting, because you think like punk's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna get trashed and we don't care about anything, and they're like, we're punk and we have very specific rules and we follow them with a degree that is unreasonable.
Well, so that's kind of the cool thing, like at least from my perspective, is like I studied a lot of like the music history before I entered the music industry, and like to see the influences that like bands like that had on the industry now, where people still get messed up. All right, people still go do drugs, get drunk, do like, I'm gonna be real. Warped Tour, one of the coolest, funniest things about Warped Tour was one of the things they provided to every band was a case of water every day and a like 20 rack of beer every day. Like literally, nice. You had to go pick it up, but they gave you a free 20 rack of beer and a free like thing of water, and it was great. But the thing that I really commend about the music industry as a whole is if you were straight edge or if you didn't want to do something, people really didn't judge you. And I think it really stemmed from the days in like the bands that were very much leaders of the straight edge movement. Like it's not something where like people judge other people for doing drugs or judge them for not doing drugs. It's more like, hey, you want to do this? No? Cool. We're going to do it. You can do your own thing. We can all hang out together kind of situation. If you're uncomfortable, just remove yourself from the situation. So to see stuff like that, I think it's cool. I also think that the punk community as a whole is very much like, hey, it's the mentality of like, the golden rule in the pit. If you see somebody get knocked down, pick them back up. It's the same thing throughout the rest of life, you know? Yeah.
I recommend, there's this really great book called Our Band Could Be Your Life by Michael Azerrad, about like the 80s alternative music scene. And it covers a bunch of bands like Black Flag, like Husker Du, The Replacements, all these guys. Just make that like a TV series and I'll watch it. Maybe you can give it like 20 seasons. Just do that. Just give me that. But yeah, I recommend if you're interested in the early days of punk, or well, 80s punk, so like the mid days of punk. But yeah, great book. People should check it out. Yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this week's Don't Cause a Ruckus. Thanks for stopping by. If you didn't know, this show goes live on twitch.tv/fancontrolsports every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. It also goes up on podcast services and the YouTube the next day. Just check out the Fan Controlled feed for all this and a bunch of other really cool shows. But until next time, keep the ruckus to a minimum.
Peace.
Still live.
Still live, Jim.
Still live.
All right.
Okay, well, what else you want to talk about?
I don't know. We can we'll just talk till Jim takes us off. Roll the credits. I saw Shazam last night. That was
oh yeah, what'd you think of it?
It was actually not bad. It was better than I was expecting. Not a lot of people, but I think I'm going to say it like this. I think it provided a great segue and a bridge to what the Flashpoint movie is going to be, which makes me kind of excited that they're bridging, the Zack Snyderverse and everything that DC made beforehand into what will be the DCU. So like the DCEU bridging into the DCU, which is everything I wanted the Flashpoint movie to be. So I'm glad they're like setting it up like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I do see everybody being upset at James Gunn for putting his wife in everything, because she is in everything. She even showed up in Shazam, which I was like, why?
Zombie does that too. I don't know. I'm okay with it. But
like, her character doesn't need to be in everything. Like, you're pushing it now. It's a little done. All right. Well.
Until next time, keep the rest to a minimum.
Peace.